to the Sweaty Potato Meyer RC channel. And today, guys, as I promised, as you can see, here the new Baja has arrived to the channel that I was going to bring to the channel, and so we're going to unbox it. And we're not going to do a typical unboxing, you know, that a lot of people do. We're going to go ahead and unbox it, see what comes in the box, and we're also going to, you know, go over it and do the initial check. And, you know, there's certain things, you know, I understand that there's a lot of people, you know, they get one of these RC cars and they don't have the patience to just, you know, take it apart and go through it and make sure, you know, everything's good and tight. And so I'm going to show you guys, you know, just a few things, you know, to look out for, and, you know, how to set things up. And, you know, we're going to adjust servo endpoints, and we're going to go over carburetor adjustments and all that stuff. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, big box here, inside of a big box. All right. All right, so we got our tools, and we got our USB charger, and we got our gas can. I like these gas cans. I know a lot of people don't, but I like them. And looks like for our tools, we got spark plug wrench, wheel wrench, and wheel shock wrench, and a couple other things in here, a couple Allens and stuff. Okay, and that's the remote. We'll be going over that later on. We got our paperwork. We got the wing and some stickers. We got alignment shims. I always go over the alignment, guys, you know, before I even drive them. Get the plastic off of here. That is always so gorgeous to see, guys. Oh, and the smell, man, it smells so good. Brand new RC cars. Okay, let's get this. Oh. All right, guys, so there she is. Give you guys some close-ups of it. So there's the close-ups. of it. And we're gonna go over some things about it. It's got the RP, I call it the RPM pipe. I don't really know exactly what pipe it's called, but that's what I call it. And I call the other ones, like this style, I call those power pipes. Here's another one. So yeah, that's a close-up of it. And we'll be back and we'll be going over some things with it. All right, guys, so we got all the plastic off of it and everything, and I'm gonna go over, you know, a few things that you wanna definitely check, you know, before you rip it. If you can't wait to just go through all of it, you know, and make it all tight and right. The first thing I'm gonna mention is, you know, I know it sounds, you know, redundant and kind of simple, but both back tires weren't very tight on this, so you always want to check your wheel nuts, of course. And then what I like to do when I'm checking my wheel nuts is I like to make sure this set screw in here is tight so that pin doesn't wobble around. And one thing I noticed with this new Baja is look at that shock brace. It comes with a nice fat shock brace on it, man. I'm liking that, because see, that's my other Baja's shock brace. And even the FT, well, okay, so I changed the FT to RC Max, but see, it's got the RC Max style on it from the factory. So that I thought that was cool and worth mentioning. Another thing I wanted to mention is my very first Baja. It had steel caps on the shocks, but the Heinz joint up there was plastic, and all these are all metal, and that's a nice upgrade. So as far as like things right out of the box that you want to pay attention to, this happens all the time. Let me get some light in here. Almost every one of them, but that screw right there, like hard to do this with one hand, but that screw right there, if you don't want to take apart your brakes and all that stuff, what you can do is just back that screw out a little bit, and when you back it out, just put a little tiny, you can put a little tiny bit of crazy glue on it, as long as you don't go crazy with it, crazy glue, crazy. Yeah, as long as you don't do that, you can do that, or you can just back it out and put a little bit of Loctite on it. But that screw right there is a must. Every one of these Bajas that I've gotten, that screw will back out. And I'm going to show you guys a link for the part that I will be replacing all mine with. So yeah, that's the link, guys. Or not a link, it's the picture and part number, and all that stuff. So, okay, so now we got the car flipped around, and one thing I wanted to mention is I was talking about alignments. Well, it comes with alignment shims, and you replace these shims in here. And I could tell by looking at it, I don't know if I can get the right angle with you guys. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. But it's got some toe in on it. So what I'm gonna do, and I did it to the last one, to the FT, I just flipped that shim around and it corrected the issue. It's like they put the shim in backwards. All right, guys, now I'm gonna go over the radio settings, and I turned my receiver on, or not my receiver, my radio, and then I turned the machine on. And then what I wanted to show you guys is just straight out of the box, if I turn the remote off, the fail-safe is set all the way to brake out of the box. So I didn't have to mess with that, because right now it doesn't have a kill switch. So you turn the remote back on and it goes back to neutral. And then, as far as the one thing I really noticed first right off the bat, here, let me see if I can do this with one hand, but one of the things I noticed right off the bat is watch when I turn this. See how that's catching? Okay, so that's one thing I noticed. So that needs to be addressed and everything. But let's go ahead and get into setting endpoints and everything. So first, we'll start with steering, and then on the remote, you push enter, go to endpoints, enter, and you want to set everything at 100%. Okay, left and right are both at 100%. Okay, so that's good. And then we need to go to channel 2 endpoints. And then there we go, 100%, and then brake 100%. So those are both set and everything. And then what you want to do when you're setting this stuff up, okay, watch my throttle hammer. You want to make sure that throttle hammer is going all the way full throttle. Okay? And then when you hit your brakes, you want to make sure that throttle hammer does not move. Okay, guys? See how it doesn't move? Because what'll happen if that moves is it kind of feathers the throttle, and what it'll do is it'll load it up, and it'll make it die, and it'll change your idle. It does all kinds of goofy stuff to it. So you want to go through and adjust all that stuff. And then I don't have the tires on it right now, but once you get everything, set up that way, you want to get your tires on it, and you want to set your steering trim and get all that stuff set up. And then what I'll do, I'll even go a little step deeper into the endpoint setup. And what I'll do is, I'll start out at 100%, and I'll slowly back off the throttle, each direction until the hammer just touches that. It just touches it. I'll set that endpoint, and then on brake, I'll do the same thing. I'll set the brake to where it just start, it's applying, just adequate brake. And that will keep you, from burning up servos, because when you get one of these, you'll notice when the throttle is set at 100%, the servo will actually kind of try to bend that rod when it's pushing full throttle if the hammer's set up correctly. It's all just a happy medium is what we're talking about here, guys. So and then I do the same thing with the steering. I'll turn it, fully one direction, and I'll figure out, if it looks like it might need a little bit of endpoint adjustment that way, but it looks like that, is pretty much set up. But what I will do, with my steering is make sure that the steering servo isn't still trying to turn when the steering's already at lock. You just want it to go to the lock position. Just like you don't want any more pressure on that throttle hammer than it takes to open the throttle all the way. And the same thing with the brakes. You don't want any more pressure on your brake cam than it takes to stop the car. Otherwise, like I said, you're going to run into the chances of burning up servos. And then I wanted to also mention, guys, this is a 30.5. I ordered the 30.5. I really didn't care, what engine I got, because that engine ain't going to be in there for long. So I just kind of wanted to go over, that stuff and everything. And one thing, I always like to get rid of is that export on the exhaust. I'm not a fan of them. So, and then I know a lot of people don't have the access that I do to my welder and everything, but what I'll do is I'll actually just cut that bracket off, this bracket right down here, and I will re-weld that on so it fits right, because when you eliminate that export, it moves the bracket forward and everything. So, all right, guys, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over carb settings. I was wanting to do initial first startup, and show you guys, kind of how I set everything up, but it's raining today like cats and dogs, and I'm not going to be able to be doing that. So everything and all that stuff. So basically what I wanted to point out right now is, and the reason I go over these, these carburetor settings is because look at that idle screw, guys. Look how that thing is buried. That thing is freaking buried. That's one thing I always like to do. And then we're going to go over, the carburetor settings. So let's go ahead and I will fix that. And what you want to do is you want to back it out, until the taper of the idle screw is just starting to move the throttle hammer. That's how you want to do it. So let's do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, guys, now can you see the difference between before and how it should be set up? See how that spring isn't completely smashed? So, and then I'm gonna go over the carburetor settings and everything, and okay, so we got our 2 needles here, and the one closest to the engine is our low speed needle, and the next one is our high speed needle. So what I always like to do is I always like to set my low speed needle, and I always go over my carburetor adjustments before I start it, even out of the box, just to make sure they're set right. But on my low speed needle, I like to go, anywhere from 1.5 to 1.25 out on the low speed. And then on the high speed, I go 1.5 to 2 turns out on the high speed. So, and that just puts me in the ballpark. And then what I'll do is once I get it, get it fired up and see how it's running, then I'll fine tune the idle. And I'm going to be doing that when we first start this up. We're going to be doing an initial thing. I just can't do it today because it's raining. So that's what I wanted to touch on, the carburetor settings as well. So all right, guys, back up here off the bench, and I just wanted to kind of go over some things that I do. Of course, what I'm going to do for my very first time, because usually I'm one of those people that can't wait. So usually, what I do is I'll just check those few things and be going outside, and I'll be just ripping, going like crazy and working on getting the ring seated and all that stuff. But on this one, I'm going to actually go through it and take it apart piece by piece and actually go through it, make sure everything's tight and right on it. I've never actually done that. I've never had the patience to do it, and this is going to be my first one, so that's what we're going to do with it. So that's going to conclude today's video, guys. I hope everybody liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, guys, and you like what you see, you should probably do that, because this is what I do. And bite the subscribe button. There's a bell notification. Select that. Select all. You get every upload I do. And don't forget, if there's something on your mind, leave a comment in the comments section, guys. We'll see you in the next one.